Okay, I want to welcome everybody to the May 12th meeting of the Park and Recreation Commission. We have an agenda and a packet of information included in front of everybody. Want to welcome back all of the commissioners and thank you for your attendance here today. First item of business for us is to approve the May 12th meeting agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item of business is to review the April 14th meeting minutes. And those were sent out in our packets and would ask everybody to take another minute to review those and then would need a motion for approval or amending anything that was incorrect in the minutes from the April 14th meeting. Again, would be looking for a motion to approve once you have
I'll offer the motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
And I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4 is for review and filing the April 2014 Department Activity Report from Director Schmitz. Take a minute to review that, and if there's any questions or discussion, we'll welcome that at this time. Hearing no questions or discussions, that will be filed with the May meeting packet and minutes. Item number 5, City Council meeting recap. Director Schmitz.
Thank you, Chair Fryer and Commissioners. As usual, there were 2 City Council meetings since our last Commission meeting. The April 15th regular City Council meeting had nothing directly related to the Park and Recreation Department. The May 2nd regular City Council meeting had a number of items somewhat related to our department, including the fact that they issued a temporary on-sale liquor permit to the Goosetown Roller Girls in the Civic Center for May 31st, July 26th, and September 20th of this year, 2014. The roller derby event regularly takes place in the Civic Center South Arena during this time of year, in summertime. Approved also a temporary 3.2% malt liquor license to the Coalition for a Clean Minnesota River for their annual River Blast in Riverside Park on August 29th and 30th of this year, 2014. Also approved a conditional use permit to New Ulm Steel and Recycling to construct a fence along a portion of the recreational trail on the south end of the town. Also adopted a resolution to continue the Performance Measurement Survey Program in conjunction with some state funding. Also, they accepted the following donations that you recommended they accept. $4,562 from the Dog Committee raised during the Cheese, Wine, Beer auction event. Also $1,000 from Barbara Harrelson, up to $1,000 and pergola construction labor from Comcast Cares Day. Also $663.25 from Pups Playland Yappy Hours that were held recently. Also $330.04 from the Dog Committee with work at the Civic Center garage sale this spring. $108.35 from the Dog Committee for work at the home show in the Civic Center. Also $50 from Shannon Kilbs, $40 from Robert and Cheryl Boisman honoring Andy Dale, $25 from Aaron Boisman, Nelson honoring Andy Dale, $20 from Douglas Boisman, $20 from Ken Emick. The City Council also accepted a donation of $1,350 from the Hearts Beat Back Heart of New Ulm project to send Councilor Ruth Ann Webster to a Complete Streets Conference in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, September 8th through the 11th of this year, 2014. That concludes action items from the past 2 City Council meetings pertaining to the Park and Recreation System.
Okay, any questions or discussion on the City Council meetings? Hearing none, we'll move on. There was no old business reported. Under new business, item number 7, donations. Director Schmitz?
Thank you, Chair Fryer and Commissioners. We have another list of donations offered to the city over the past month. For the dog park, $2,381 for a one-time in-kind service for gravel parking lot from MR Paving and Excavating Incorporated of New Ulm. $127 cash from the Church of Cash event held at the New Ulm Event Center recently. $100 cash from Charles and Barbara Bornhoff. $15 cash from Tim and Marianne Wan. $94.82 of a one-time in-kind service for refuse dumpster for a special event from Riverview Sanitation. Then a donation at the Recreation Center, $862.80 of an ongoing in-kind annual television service from New Ulm Telecom. For programs, $500 cash from New Ulm Real Estate for the annual Easter egg hunt. $1,000 cash from the New Ulm Medical Center, a division of Alina Health, for the Park X Summer Youth Program. $300 of new soccer balls from Farmers Co-op of Hanska. And finally, for German Park, $100 cash from Patricia Rogers in memory of Don and Marilyn Raywitzer. That concludes the list of donations offered to the city over the past month.
Okay, I guess I would have one question on the process, if I could bring that up now after we just went through the city council minutes as well as this donation. What is required in terms of going through these and reading them versus accepting and recommending? It seems like we're reading them to recommend to the city council, and then we're kind of reading them back into the record once they've been approved by the city council. And just a point on process that I'm not familiar with.
Chair Fryer and Commissioners, normally a donation to the Park and Recreation Department comes to the department and is placed in a commission action form for the commission to formulate a recommendation that then goes to the city council for their formal acceptance. So it's read into the record normally, monthly at the commission meetings, and then after it goes through council and becomes a part of their minutes, I've been reading it again into the record. Maybe that second time would be unnecessary. It's up to you.
Just looking to the group here for feedback, I guess. I get my packet ahead of time. I appreciate you sending that out and reading it, but any wishes?
Is it because some might not be approved or accepted? No, huh? I mean, obviously, they would accept everything, I would say. And it would be in their minutes, right? So it does seem somewhat redundant, although it does point out, once again, the nature of, the donations. And people, sometimes forget, and we also can profile who gives it, so that's a nice feature as well, but just another side of it.
Could it just be read into the record that the recommended donations were accepted from the, that we had previously recommended?
Or all of them were, unless there's one that wouldn't have been.
Unless
then
there's
you
one that
could-
wouldn't have
you
been.
could Address that one. It's been 100 years since I've done anything with Robert's Rules of Order, but I can't remember if, I think we're being repetitiously redundant in that, but yeah. Yeah, I think it's a,
Looking to help with an efficient meeting, everyone, so.
Yeah.
And certainly this meeting isn't the recognition of those donations. The Park and Rec Department responds with a thank you note, correct? And, or the mayor does too, awesome, okay. So this is just a technicality, and it's not the main form of recognition of the gratitude the Park and Recs feel towards these donations, am I right?
Correct, Commissioner Carlson and Commissioners. We certainly can just simply read it into the record at the commission meetings, and it's also, I think, read into the record at the council meeting.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be replayed
yeah.
a month later if you'd like that removed from the agenda. Certainly can easily happen.
Okay, personally, I'd like to see them relisted, but then as they come back the second time around, just say as noted. They don't have to be read, you know what I mean, as one by one by one. Do you guys agree?
Yes.
In no way do I want to minimize the thankfulness and appreciation, right, for all these donations and the impact they have. It's tremendous, so really want to send that message, but just for taking care of our business, it sounds like maybe that's something we can try at the next meeting. Before us, we have, though, I think, a need to recommend to the city council the acceptance of the donations that Director Schmitz had just covered with us or read to us. So looking for a motion,
So moved?
Second.
and we have a second. Any discussion on these donations that have been recommended? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Next item of new business, number 8, BMX camping request. Director Schmitz.
Thank you, Chair Fryer and Commissioners. This is turning out to be a bit of an annual request from our local BMX club, the River Valley BMX Club, and the request for temporary camping over a weekend. So my recommendation is that you forward onto the City Council a request for them to offer a resolution and waive the reading to authorize temporary camping activities in South German Park, just south of the 3rd South Street, Friday and Saturday nights of July 18th and 19th of 2014. The overview includes the fact that city code restricts camping or living in portable shelters on public property. River Valley BMX Club operates out of the BMX park. This particular weekend, the club is hosting a Minnesota State qualifier race. And this race request, the race and camping request is normally an annual activity. Many youth, adults, and families enjoy club activities and access to the park. Primary issues and alternatives to consider include the fact that the City Council has authorized this activity in the past, and it's similar to the annual temporary camping request related to River Blast at Riverside Park. The anticipated volume for the BMX event is less than 10 family camping units. On-site portable restrooms and refuse service will be provided by the club, and drinking water is available at the BMX park. So no significant budgetary or fiscal issues to be concerned about. I would recommend you forward this on to the City Council for their approval.
I do have a question.
Okay, there's a question here from Commissioner Carlson.
Mr. Schmitz, does this just include putting up, obviously, tents and campers, and there is no campfires? Or is there campfires allowed when you allow camping?
Commissioner Carlson and Commissioners, if the weather is conducive and the campfires meet code, which is, I think it's 3 feet in diameter, contained, self-contained units recreationally, then it can be allowed. For instance, at
Isn't
River
it like
Blast.
20 feet away from anything that's
Yes,
flammable?
Okay.
yes. Mm-hmm.
This one.
Sounds to me like it's a positive thing to do.
And there's been no issues in the past with the camping?
Correct.
Yeah, they've been good.
Okay, we're looking for a motion to recommend to the City Council to offer temporary camping for this BMX event.
So
I make that motion.
Okay,
Support.
we have a motion, we have a second. Any more discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Just for clarification, you made the motion, and did you second it? You seconded
He
it?
seconded.
Okay.
I think there was a tie on the motion. Okay, on to new business item number 9, OSHA grant. And Director Schmitz.
Thank you, Chair Fryer and Commissioners. This is a request that I'm asking you to forward on to the City Council for their approval, and that is to authorize application to an OSHA safety grant for at least 50% of an estimated $5,000 total cost for glass handling safety equipment. The overview on this action form is the fact that this safety grant program is administered annually and ongoing through the Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry. The glass handling safety equipment is a special attachment to the forks of our electric walk-behind forklift at the Civic Center. It will primarily be used to assist in assembly and disassembly of the hockey rink boards and the glass that sits on top of the boards. The Civic Center hockey rink boards and glass are assembled and disassembled at least annually during both spring and autumn, including for the figure skating, farm, camper, and home shows. Primary issues and alternatives to consider include the fact that the rink board glass is heavy and difficult to place and remove on top of the hockey rink boards. Injuries have occurred in the past. Thankfully, no fatalities though. Hockey rinks around the world utilize this type of glass handling safety equipment. Our municipal safety consultant will assist in writing the grant application. The city may further consider adding other safety equipment purchases to this grant application, up to the maximum possible award. The grant reimbursement program, it's a reimbursement program in which the city would make and pay for the purchases and then be reimbursed. Simply the glass handling safety equipment is estimated at approximately $5,000. The cash grant can be used to reimburse the city up to 50% of the cost of purchases. The maximum total cash grant award is $10,000. So if additional safety equipment purchases of either the Park and Recreation Department or other departments in the city could increase to the total maximum expense of $10,000 of the city and then reimbursed, or excuse me, it would be a $20,000 total project, and 50% of that could be reimbursed to the city of $10,000. So this is the first step in getting authorization to proceed, and then over the next month or two, there will be a discussion of whether or not we should just simply go for this glass handling safety equipment, or whether we should add some other safety supplies or equipment to this request, as other municipalities have done in the past. So I would recommend that you forward this request onto the City Council.
Any questions or discussion at this time?
I have a question. Will this equipment require specific training for the employees to go through?
Thank you, Commissioner Carlson and Commissioners. Yes, this will, there will be training involved with operating and using the glass handling safety equipment, yes. And this is a very common, the glass handling safety equipment is common throughout hockey rinks worldwide, including in Minnesota. And so it's not real difficult to operate. It's similar to the glass handling equipment that professional glass installers use on buildings and so on, including the suction cups and so on.
So currently, we don't have any equipment to assist in this other than the electric.
That's correct, Commissioner Rockfam. It's actually all done manually by hand with 2 or more strong individuals. And the pieces of glass on these hockey rink boards come in different sizes, depending on if you're on a curve or a straightaway on the hockey rink. And so it's something that we do a few times a year whenever we take the rink down or put it back up. And it's completely been done manually through physical labor in the past. And this is a way to engineer potential injuries out of the picture.
Okay, yeah.
Is it correct to assume this will also be probably quite a bit more efficient?
Yes.
Labor-wise, time-wise?
Yes, Commissioner Sledadal and Commissioners, correct. It will be much more efficient and will save labor and time, yes.
Okay, great questions, discussion. We'd be looking for a motion to send this on or recommend to the City Council approval of submitting the grant to the Occupational Safety and Health Administration.
So move.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10 under new business, dog park grant. Director Schmitz.
Thank you, Chair Fryer and Commissioners. This is a grant application in which I'm asking you to forward on to the City Council for their authorization to make application. It's for a $500 grant award to the IMT Group for further dog park development. I think we're well aware of where the dog park is and what the fundraising has been taken in the past. We also have some great news related to the dog park in that we anticipate the fence to be installed this week. They've raised closer to $15,000 in grand total. There are other development elements that the dog committee is looking forward to in the future beyond the fence, including the possibility of lighting, potable water, drinking water, the off-street parking is something we've already talked about. That seems to be coming here on the horizon. And some obstacles, benches, and landscaping. The IMT Group is an insurance company with a community contest grant program. And so I would ask you to forward on to the City Council a recommendation for them to authorize this grant application. There's no matching dollars involved with this.
Okay.
I'll offer the motion.
We have a motion
I'll second.
and a second to recommend application for the dog park grant. Any more discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, on to item number 11 under new business, another grant, a healthy activity grant. Director Schmitz.
Thank you, Chair Fryer and Commissioners. I'm asking you to forward this on as a recommendation to the City Council for them to authorize application for a healthy activity grant, which is part of Alina's Neighborhood Health Connection Program. Healthy activity grants will find activities that support social connections, healthy eating, and active living for adults and families. The city's programming division at the Park and Recreation Department would like to offer family fitness opportunities at various park and facility locations for a period of 6 months, beginning July of this year, running through the end through December. Examples of fitness
It says 2015. Should it be 14?
My understanding is that's a typographical error, yes.
Should
It
be
would be for the
2014.
second half of this calendar year.
Okay.
It's my understanding, July through December of this year, 2014. Examples of fitness activities include family Zumba, yoga in the parks, a scavenger hunt along the recreational trail, boot camp, water exercise classes at the recreation center, skate with Santa programs, or a number of other ideas that we have for family fitness. Park and Recreation and Alina partner to provide various active programs throughout the year for both youth and adult. This would provide an additional series of activities that could involve families. The city survey results indicate an ongoing need and request for additional free activities centered around family fitness. The grant application would be up to $1,000 cash.
Dreaming a bit, yes.
$1,000.
I'll offer the motion.
We have a motion to consider, or to recommend to the City Council applying for a healthy activity grant.
Second?
And we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, new business item number 12, Commission Education Discussion Topic, System Master Plan and Survey. I guess I can start with an update, and I'll look to fellow commissioners that also participated in this work session a few weeks back to add some feedback on how the session went, but we did have a work session focused on planning and education for the Parks and Recs Department of the City of New Ulm, and Commissioner Slededall was there, Commissioner Roloff, and Commissioner Bourne had joined myself and Director Schmitz and Assistant Director Corman. And I think we spent about an hour, and we focused on three main areas with our time. One was reviewing, once again, just to get perfect clarity on the sales tax and how that's how that had been structured back in 2001, what uses it would have for kind of the current time period we're under. And then also we had asked a few questions or requests of Director Schmitz revolving around the funded depreciation or reserve account, and if he could come up with some estimates of what we may need for ongoing maintenance of the buildings. I think it was at our last meeting, it was reported we have $2.6 million in the reserve account, and I think as a commission we were interested in what may be needed to properly fund that, to make sure that for the long haul we're properly prepared for the maintenance and repairs that would be needed to the three buildings. Second item we looked at, or at least discussed, was the need for a master plan upgrade. And we just felt like the last one had been done, is it 19?
It was in the late 80s.
Late 80s? I was gonna say
The Park
88.
and Rec System Master Plan was
Yeah,
updated.
the Park and Rec System Master Plan was 1988, so those in attendance of the work session felt like it would be time and resources well spent if we could put together at least a timeline of how we would go about updating and redrafting the master plan that would help us as we prioritize and look to the future of Parks and Recs. And lastly, we talked about the community survey. That was in our meeting packet and on the agenda of our April commission meeting. And during our work session, we actually went through kind of question by question and kind of discussed the relevance of those questions, how they could be either reworded or updated or deleted and maybe not needed for if we went back out and did a new community survey. But we thought the community survey would be important to inform the master plan update, that gathering that community input would be valuable to us as commissioners. So that's what I had taken some notes on, at least of what we had reviewed and accomplished at the work session, but I would ask other commissioners that were in attendance, or Director Schmitz, Assistant Director Corman, to add to it.
Thank you, Chair Fryer and Commissioners. I think that's a great synopsis of our recent work session. And those are some big topics, and we've already began working on compiling information and data related to that. It's going to take some time, but looking forward to bringing that to the commission in the future.
Look to the other commissioners, Commissioner Roloff, Slededall, or Boren, if you have any more comments?
That
No, I
pretty well
just-
covers
I
it.
think it was pretty well covered.
Okay. Okay. Did you feel it was valuable if we would schedule more of those in the future as topics arise to be able to dedicate more time?
I thought it was most valuable.
Okay. Okay. All right.
But not on a Friday afternoon.
Not on a Friday afternoon.
Your day off.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion about that business item today? I think, in summary, more to come. I think we understand the plan that we want to work on. It's just going to take a little more time and resource, but we'll be bringing that back through the full commission here. All right, on to report.
Chairman,
Yes,
Frank,
please.
Just a question, I guess. I'm a little unclear. Where do we stand on the community survey? I mean, how have we left that? I'm a little unclear on that, how we're proceeding on that.
Appreciate the question. I'll look to Director Schmitz as well for some response.
Thank you, Chair Fryer, Commissioner Slededall, and Commissioners. Staff is in the process of fine-tuning the discussion related to the questions and getting them into an editable digital format. And then we'll be sharing those with the commission and fine-tuning them in hopes of preparing a survey that we can maybe conduct later on this year.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the question. All right, on to reports. Item number 13, Director Reports. Director Schmitz.
Thank you, Chair Fryer and Commissioners. Some of the projects, programs, and partnerships that we have completed, the pergolas for the dog park, in conjunction with Comcast and their Comcast Cares Day donation. We've also installed some storm shelter signage, very appropriate for this time of year to identify safe rooms in our various buildings, such as restrooms and rooms without windows and glass. The Public Works Department has completed the parking lot crack sealing at the Civic Center, Recreation Center, and Community Center in anticipation of, what's the next step? Crack sealing, seal coating. Okay, yes, crack sealing is done, and the Street Department, Public Works Department will be seal coating our parking lots later on this year. The Herman Monument Interpretive Center is open for its annual May schedule, and the displays have been installed. Athletics field seeding and fertilizing for the spring season has been completed. And the park shelters and restrooms, including portable restrooms, are open, and water is turned on in the parks for the summer season. Projects in progress continue to be the irrigation of baseball, softball fields at North and Harmon Parks, the Nels Water Tower, and some of these other projects that have been listed for some time now. We're continuing to work with various local contractors and staff to complete these. I won't read them all into the record for you. They are listed on the agenda. We've got some major painting repairs taking place at German Park. That's quite exciting. Some of the planning we're still involved with include items that we've been working on for a while: accessibility in restrooms at the Johnson & Johnson athletic fields, Minnesota River Parkway. It appears we're getting closer to the Minnicon Park water access site improvements in conjunction with the DNR, Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, and some federal funding. More information to come from that project quite soon. Resurfacing of the outdoor tennis courts and striping for both tennis and pickleball is in the plan for this summer. And a number of other aspects there. I won't read them all into the record for you. I don't know if there's any particular questions at all. We continue to work with Hearts Beat Back, Heart of New Ulm project on a number of initiatives, bicycling amenities and outdoor fitness equipment. We continue to work with scouting groups, both Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, on various projects. The summer and spring program and activity registration is ongoing. I brought some brochures with, if you haven't had a brochure yet or interested in additional brochures for the spring and summer activities and programs. You can register anytime the Recreation Center is open with very extended hours for quite a number of different programs and activities. And then the monthly mention of other opportunities for partnerships and sponsorships for development, both large and small, of our system. So I think that's all we have for staff updates this month.
I have a question too.
Commissioner Carlson, yes.
Okay, I have a question. When you talk about turf upgrades on athletic fields, is there a process of every, like Lincoln and Washington Parks getting upgrades in their turf at all? Or is there like a schedule for when the playgrounds and non-athletic fields get attention to the turf quality?
Thank you, Commissioner Carlson. Commissioners, we continually work on turf throughout our system. There's quite a number of parks, as you know, we have, and there are needs throughout the system, including those two parks you mentioned, both Lincoln and Washington. There's a couple of other athletic fields, such as Nels and South Park, that have athletic field needs that are more of a recreational or neighborhood park, as opposed to competitive use. So yes, we regularly slit seed and fertilize, but we aren't able to do all the fields every year, so we're continuing to work on those.
I have a question.
Yeah, oh, yeah, sorry. Commissioner Morris.
The Minnesota River Parkway Master Plan, is Park and Rec going to be involved with the river event in mid-June that's being held here in New Ulm. It's advertised as a Big River event, and I was wondering if the Minnesota Parkway Master Plan is part of that event, or do you know anything about that, or is Park and Rec involved in any of that planning?
Great questions, Commissioner Marty Borstead and Commission. We are not, the city is not directly involved with that. I think it's the Coalition for a Clean Minnesota River is the lead sponsor on that, that workshop throughout the day. This Parkway Master Plan is still in its infancy as far as putting a request for proposals together to solicit planning firms to come in and give us a cost estimate just to do a Minnesota River Parkway Master Plan. So they're two different aspects and initiatives. And the Park Commission will be very involved as well, Goosetowners and the city as a whole, when it comes to preparing a master parkway plan for Minneconne Riverside and connectivity. That event you're talking about in June, I think it's at Turner Hall, and from my understanding, it looks like an excellent Minnesota River conservation and recreation event. So I highly recommend anyone look into that, to go to that. I plan to go as a participant, but not as a presenter.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Commissioner Sledell.
Question about the tennis court resurfacing, those would be the Washington and Lincoln courts?
Correct.
And is that a silica sand kind of resurfacing project, or what kind of resurfacing is done on that?
Commissioner Sledell and Commissioners, every 5 to 7 years we go in and refinish those. They're concrete tennis courts. And so there's basically sanding and shot blasting, sandblasting, cleaning off of the old paint, basically. And then patch repairing the concrete, and then primer and repainting the lines with a sand-type grip, a traction additive in the paint. And that's commercially done. We've got, I think, 3 different vendors that are presenting proposals to us. It's rather expensive, but it's a maintenance a requirement to maintain those courts. And with the upswing and interest in pickleball, I know there's a number of communities decommissioning their tennis courts, completely eliminating tennis, and turning their tennis courts into strictly permanent pickleball courts, including Mankato, Albert Lee, and other southern Minnesota communities. Now, my suggestion and recommendation and part of the proposal is to maintain those 4 tennis courts as tennis courts, but also to stripe them for pickleball use. So they're multi-use courts. Yes, the pickleball net is the competitive pickleball net is 2 inches lower than the tennis net. But I think recreational pickleball enthusiasts would be just fine with that 2-inch differential in the net. Even though if you reconfigure a tennis court, you can get multiple pickleball courts on one tennis court, as you see in the middle court 3 in the field house, which was a temporary experiment that has taken off, and I think it's going to become a permanent experiment in the field house.
Apparently, the 3 pickleball nets weren't enough on one Thursday when you had it. I think it was a Thursday, because people would play and they'd move on from one net to the next, and then that group would have to sit down for a while because there were so many pickleball players that particular day, and it was kind of fun to watch them sitting there, and then the rest would play. It was really a neat thing.
Yes.
Okay. Great questions. Any more discussion or questions for Director Schmitz? Hearing none, we're on to item number 14, Commissioner Reports.
Oh.
Yes, Commissioner Carlson.
I'd like to congratulate staff on the big summer sign-up event, where we did things a little bit differently this year by having the crowds line up indoors in that court. Or have you been doing that for a while now?
We've done it that way for a couple of sessions. We just didn't do it in winter because of the water on the shoes.
Okay.
that makes the floor in the gym extremely wet and slippery. So we have done it other year, or other sessions, but not just this past winter one, we did not, because of that reason.
But I must say, I've had a lot of compliments and, people who had babies waiting in strollers and things like that really appreciated being out of the elements because it was a very cold, windy day. And I think it adds to nice crowd control and a lot more peace and harmony in the event. So I hope that, water damage aside, that maybe even winter you would consider doing it.
Okay. Other commissioner reports. I know one that I would be interested in, if there's any feedback or follow-up from the workshop that was held on May 7th. Again, I apologize for not being able to join you, but if there's learnings, takeaways that we think would be valuable to be brought before the commission of what we could be considering here in New Ulm, what was shared by the presenter, I guess I would be interested in hearing those. Everybody at once now. Director Schmitz, I'll pick on you. You have anything?
Okay, Chair Fryer and Commissioners, the information I received from the commissioners in attendance on the way back in the van from Owatonna to New Ulm was very positive. Some of the takeaways include kind of updating our commissioner handbook and our commissioner training to review budget planning and so on. Working commissioner at kind of the high level of the ends, whereas staff is working more on results to get to the ends. Updating our vision, mission, goals, and objectives. The commission evaluating themselves and evaluating the commission periodically, including, maybe annually. And making sure that the commissioners are welcome at special events and programs, are encouraged to get out, seek out what makes your interest in the department, in the system. Maybe adopting one or more parks or facilities or programs just as a way to better understand them and provide feedback and direction. Those were just some of the notes I have.
One of the things I brought back from the meeting was that we have to, as individuals on the commission and as a group, try to have more contact with the public to find out really what they need and what they want. Instead of dreaming up things to try, go with things that we need that have already been tried someplace.
Thank you.
I really truly did enjoy it, and I learned a lot. Without a doubt, I thought a strong theme of the training was an emphasis on communication, and that we are under a duty and obligation to not only have a good working relationship with the staff, but to go above and beyond and bring in a zest and a commitment to the bottom line of the Park and Rec organization. And, just a good example would be like this discussion of pickleball being on such an upswing. It's really getting to be a popular thing. We should have a commissioner pickleball event so that we can relate to what's going on and we understand the rules, and so we can experience on the bottom line what is going on with our Park and Rec department. Again, this commissioner said, is that we have an obligation of bringing the communication not just within our little world of our families and their opinions, but trying to get the body and the public of New Ulm accessibility to us as commissioners. So if they have something they want to say to us to bring to this meeting, how are they going to find us? How are they going to let us know what their opinions are? And so we were talking about maybe putting our names and addresses into the commission report of the newspaper, or maybe putting feedback boxes at certain points in our park system, but that communication is so critical.
Thank you. Any other comments based on the workshop? Okay, well, thanks again for attending, and it sounds like some great takeaways there for us to continue to review and think about incorporating into our individual roles as well as collectively as a commission. Our next meeting will be on June 9th, 2014, here, same place, same time. And unless there's any other business for today, we're looking for a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion
We
to
have a motion?
adjourn.
Second.
Second? Any discussion? Meeting adjourned. All right, thanks, everyone.